Hi, my name is Lily, and I'm here this morning with Richard Zurawski, who is the candidate for the Green Party of Canada in Halifax West, as well as the climate change critic for the Green Party of Canada. Good morning, Richard.
Good morning, Lily. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
So we're here to talk a bit more about the Green Party, and I'd love to hear more about what the Green Party stands for and how you operate.
Sure. For the Green Party, since its inception, it's all about climate change. That is the lens through which we view everything. The economy, jobs, social justice, all have to go through the lens of the climate crisis that we're facing right now.
Climate change is one of my biggest fears, so I'm really glad to hear you say that. It's what keeps me up at night and what I'm worried about for my future and for the future of those who come after me. So what exactly will you and the Green Party do to tackle the climate crisis?
Well, in the short term, that's over the next decade, we're going to be eliminating fossil fuels as much as we can. We're going to be moving down the threshold of the carbon dioxide that we're putting into the atmosphere by 60%. So that means reducing CO2 emissions by 60% by 2030. And then by 2050, we'll be at net zero. That means no more carbon dioxide into the atmosphere.
That's really great to hear. Because it's important to hear these really strong targets and commitment to fighting the climate crisis. Of course, there are lots of other issues that plague myself and other young people that I'd love to ask you about. First, I would love to hear more about what the Green Party is going to do to tackle racism and sexism and homophobia and transphobia within Canada.
That is a really good question. The Green Party stands for social justice on all levels. We're looking at equity as far as income goes. We're looking at equity as far as skin color goes. We're looking at equity as far as how people identify themselves, whether it's religious precepts or whether it's sexual precepts. And so we want equity right across the board. That is an incredibly important part for the Green Party.
For sure, that's really great to hear. Now, as a student, we have some big issues plaguing us, primarily rising tuition rates and rising student debt. What will you and the Green Party do to tackle that?
So the first thing we're going to do is eliminate tuition for colleges and universities for all students. So education will be free. The second thing is getting rid of the debt. We've offloaded so much of our economy onto the shoulders of students with student debt that they can't afford to pay. And by doing that, we're going to empower students to become participants in the new green economy.
Well, I'm really glad to hear that. One of the other things that myself and others are very concerned about is whether there will be jobs for us after we graduate. What will you and the Green Party do to ensure that there are good jobs?
Well, the first thing we're going to do is have a livable wage so that no matter where you work, you won't have to have 2 and 3 jobs just to be able to exist. You will be able to pay the rent or buy a house and buy a car and participate in society under the green new economy. We're also making sure that students are coming out without debt so they can participate immediately.
It's wonderful to hear about all these plans to tackle these different issues, but how does the Green Party plan to pay for all of this?
That's a fabulous question because right now we have a lot of money going into the fossil fuel sector. We're subsidizing the oil companies, and these are the richest companies in the world. So we're going to take away those subsidies and put them back into social programs, put them back into the green economy. The second thing is we're going to make sure that companies pay their fair share of taxes. Right now the burden falls on the poor people, on the middle class, but not on the very, very, very wealthy out there. So we're going to roll that back as well.
As a young person, why is it so important that I vote in this election and that I vote for the Green Party?
Well, there are basically 2 reasons. The first is if you don't vote, that means you're empowering somebody who does vote with double their vote. And the second thing is that for the first time, young people outnumber old people. So you can finally get what you want by voting for those who you want. And of course, we're encouraging young people to vote green.
Well, that's very empowering to hear. I know that in this election, I will be voting for the Green Party of Canada, and I really hope that my peers and others choose to vote alongside me, because we need politicians who will tackle the climate crisis in the way that we need them to, and to take our future seriously. So thank you so much for your time, Richard.
I thank you so much, Lily, for taking the time to talk to me.